gentlemen. My name's Caleb Cash. I'm a recovered drug addict.
Hey, Caleb.
I'm grateful to be here. It's a honor and a privilege to do anything to speak on this process that completely saved my life. If you're in Rockland, I'm sorry. I just spoke to you guys a week or two ago, so you get to hear my story again. And I don't know, man. I'm grateful to be sober, active in this deal, and living a life that I did not expect to live when I first got here. My sobriety date is November 19th, 2022. I have a sponsor. I sponsor others. I have a home group that I'm actively involved in. And I owe this deal my life. I really do. I woke up today happy. Got my daughter off to school. I got to participate in work. I got to do things that just seemed so far-fetched when I first came around here. And I owe it all to the grace of God and the 12 steps of this program. I was born in North Carolina, small country town, one stoplight. I lived on some land in the middle of the woods. Mom was an alcoholic, not a drug addict. She was damn sure an alcoholic, though. My aunts and uncles were same deal. I saw the effect that alcoholism and that lifestyle had on a family. I saw the turmoil. I saw the violence. I saw the fights. I saw just the chaos and commotion that came from it. And as a kid, I told myself that wasn't going to be me. I'm never going to do anything like that. I don't want anything to do with it. But also, that's all I knew from a very young age. When I lived in North Carolina, I lived a pretty basic, normal childhood. I got involved with sports. I played t-ball. I went up to, started playing coach pitch. I played baseball for years, man. I tried football. It just wasn't my deal. I was just too small to play for football. I loved sports. I loved riding four-wheelers. I loved what I had going on. It's all I knew, and I was okay doing it, man. My mom she got this new boyfriend, and they had a grand idea to move us here to Florida. I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I moved to Florida. And I remember moving here, and it was just, I'm used to like a secluded little town with houses that are miles apart, and I moved to Florida, and you guys got houses right beside each other. You got neighbors right across the street. You got so many damn people in this little area. And I remember I started 5th grade here, and I was just little scrawny redhead white boy. I had this thick country accent, and people just made fun of the way I talked. I just felt like I didn't fit in with everybody that was around me. I felt different than. I felt like, whatever, I can make friends, and I can get involved with people, but I could be in a room full of people I know and I could still feel alone because I separate myself from you guys. I feel like I don't fit in with you, and I can give you every reason as to why that is. But really all it is I was a couple steps off. I just felt like I didn't belong with you guys, and I felt different than you guys. And that carried on for a long, long time. And I picked up a hobby when I was young. I picked up skateboarding, and I fell in love with it, man. It was my passion. It was my outlet, you could say. It was something that I genuinely enjoyed, and it got me out of that feeling that I was feeling for so many years, or since I moved here. It just got me out of the household that I lived in. My mom, this new boyfriend that she had, was very violent. There was a lot of fights. I saw a lot of domestic violence, and I could never do anything about it because I'm just this scrawny little kid, man. And I wish that I could, and that weighed on me for a long time, but there was nothing I could do, man. And I just saw a lot of violence, and skateboarding was my outlet for a long time. And what came with skateboarding was a group of friends, a group of people that I fell into, and whatever, man. This thing didn't start off I was 13 or 14 when I picked up my first drink, my first drug, whatever you want to call it. I started smoking weed, actually. It was the first thing I ever did, and it didn't send me down the rails. It didn't fuck my life up completely, but I remember I started smoking weed. I started drinking a little bit, and all that stuff, all that distance between me and you, that uncomfortability, that tension that I had, the anxiety, the feeling that I just don't fit in, that all kind of just dissipated. It all kind of went away. I felt like I belonged. I felt like I could interact with people. I enjoyed where I was for the first time, and I was okay being me when I was doing this stuff. And I could exhale. I could breathe. And it was a moment and a feeling that I wanted to carry with me forever, and I tried to do that. I started smoking weed. I started drinking. I didn't dabble into the harder things until later in life, man. But what came with me was I was a rebellious kid. I did not like authority. I didn't like people telling me what I had to do. I had this mom that I had. She was a bartender. She would work late at night. She would work till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, go into work, and sleep till 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then she'd go into work. So I had free range to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. My house was like the meetup spot. Everybody came to my house. We hung out. We drank. We got loaded, and we did what we did. And I could sit here from this podium, from this table. I could tell you what my life looked like until I got sober. Absolutely nothing. I never amounted to anything good in life. I never was successful. I dropped out. I'm a high school dropout. I'm in and out of jail. I go to prison. I get out. I do the same thing. That's what my life looked like. That's what my life looked like before I got sober. I caught my first criminal case when I was 14. I was around these kids that I just wanted to fit in with these kids, and they were selling weed. I wanted to sell weed. I sold weed to this guy who happened to be an undercover cop. They came to the skate park. They took me to jail. That's my first case. From 14 to the time I sobered up when I was 29, I spent more than half of my life incarcerated. I just couldn't get right. I was in and out of jail. I'd get out. I'd tell myself it's going to be different. I'd do the same thing, and I'd go right back. And that's how I lived my life. No care in the world. I burned every bridge. I'd hurt everybody around me. And I had no compassion. I just didn't care about anything at all but myself. And if you got in the way of what I wanted to do or where I wanted to be or how I wanted to feel, unfortunately, you paid the consequences of whatever it was that I did to you at that time. I'm a liar. I cheat. I steal. I hurt people, and I don't bring any good into this world. I constantly have my hand out. I'm always asking for something. I always need something. I'm a taker. I'm not a giver, and whatever I can get, I'm going to take. And that's how I lived my life for a lot of years. The progression of my story, the progression of my alcoholism, my drug addiction. See, I suffer from this thing bad. And if you would have asked me when I was 13, 14, smoking weed and drinking a couple beers, that this many years down the line I'd be living the way that I'm living, I would have told you absolutely not. I remember in school, the DAA program, stay away from drugs, don't do this. And I always had these little lines that I had said, I'm never going to smoke crack. I would never do meth. I crossed every single line that I had ever put down. The progression of this thing, once I get started, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know who I'm going to hurt. I don't know where I'm going to end up at the end of the night. And it doesn't look like I want to do all that. It looks like I just want to shut my head off. I just want to be okay being me, and I just take a couple and this thing happens. And I'm locked up again, or I'm back in jail, or I robbed a family, a friend, and I'm just sitting here like, how the hell did I let this happen again? And I tell myself it's going to be different, and I go and do the same exact thing every single time. I don't know, man. I started burning bridges. I dropped out of high school. That skateboarding, that thing that I fell in love with and I wanted to do for the rest of my life, it just seemed not so important to me anymore. And I didn't want to do that. I put everything that I cared and loved for on the back burner when it came to drugs and alcohol because they became trump over everything in my life. I was 16 years old, or about 16 years old. I had this kid that I grew up skateboarding with. This kid was so good at skateboarding. Without a shadow of the doubt, I know he would have went professional in skateboarding. I was living in Hernando County at the time, and I was going to Springstead High School, and he had this idea. His plug lived in Shady Hills, and if you're familiar with there, you know what I'm talking about. His plug lived in Shady Hills, and he had this idea that we're going to go rob him, take all his weed, take all his pills, take everything he had, and absolutely, I'm down with it. We skipped school, and mind you, I'm 16 at the time. My daughter's 9 years old. If she even had thoughts of this even years later, I'd be like, you're absolutely out of your mind. But we skipped school. We went to this kid's house. I wrapped a shirt around my head. He had a ski mask on. And we didn't have the means to make the money that we wanted to get loaded, so we think we could just take it and it would be ours. So we go up to this house. It's me, it's him, and it's two other people. And I got my back against the door. My friend Destin's got his back. I got the other people in the getaway car, and he takes off running. And I don't know what to do. I kind of froze in fear a little bit, and I hear the doorknob start to shake, and I take off running too. And this guy's got a chicken wire fence in his front yard. And Destin takes off running, I take off running. Me and him both, we can't find the opening. It's a little 24-inch opening to get out of this chicken wire fence. And like I said, he's got a ski mask on. I got my shirt wrapped around my face. And all I can see before we get out of this, I can see his eyes and I can see his mouth, and I still see it today. And he does this dumbass laugh. And right after he does this laugh, I hear a firecracker. That's all it sounded like. That's all it sounded like. And he's screaming and he falls on the ground, and I turn around and I look at the house, and the guy's pointing the rifle dead at me. Now this kid that I just said to you guys, he would have went professional in skateboarding. due to our actions and the way that we wanted to take from people and do what we wanted to do, he got shot in the back and paralyzed waist down. Still to this day, he can't walk. I say all that to say, if I didn't suffer from this deal, that would have been enough for me to get sober, stay sober, and live a normal life. That was just the beginning of this thing, man. That was the very beginning of this. I thought that would... Fear sobered me for a bit. There's a line in Bill's story that says that. Fear sobered me for a bit. And that's enough for a guy like me to maybe cut back a little bit for a couple days, or try to get my shit together, try to get things in order and leave this stuff alone. But the problem with a guy like me is you take the drugs away from me. You take the alcohol away from me and you leave me stone cold sober physically. As I sit here today, I got a head on me that just eats, and it gets so loud and it gets so noisy to where I just want to jump out of my skin, and I need relief. And I know the quickest way for me to get relief is either pop something, shoot something, smoke something, drink something, or do something to get me out of my own head. I don't suffer from the drugs and alcohol. That's not a problem. It's me when I'm stone cold sober. I suffer from addiction. I suffer from alcoholism, and I need something to treat that. And I carry on doing what I do, man. In and out of jail, crashing on couches if I got somewhere to stay, just living a life. I'm underbelly of society, man. I lie, I cheat, I steal, I hurt people, I do things that I said I would never do, and I live like this continuously, day in and day out. I don't know, man. I got a lot of consequences. I got a lot of things that should have, for a guy like me or a normal person, that would have sobered it up and told him to get right, but it's just not the case for me. I wake up in jail a lot, and I don't know why I'm there. I black out. I'm a blackout drinker. I black out on Xanax. I black out on everything I take, and I wake up in days, and I don't know where I'm at or why I'm here or what I'm doing on this one particular time. I wake up in county jail again, and I know this because I can hear. If you've been to county jail, you know the sounds, you know the bars, you know all this. And I roll over and I see the C on the wall. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm in jail again. I'm in bunk C, and my face hurts real bad. I don't know why I'm in jail. I don't know what I did to get there. That should be fearful enough, but my face hurts really bad. I'm like, damn, did the police beat me up? I don't know what it is. And if you've been in jail, you know they got these little mirrors, and they're all scratched up, and you can barely see what it is. And I'm touching my face, and I go look in this mirror, and I got this dumbass tattoo on my face, and I don't know where it came from or why I got it or what I did, and I don't know why I'm in jail, and I got this dumbass tattoo on my face. And I sit on that bunk after I see this tattoo, and this tattoo says misunderstood, if you just so you know. That's how I felt my entire life, though, up to this point. Nobody understands why I am the way I am. Nobody gets me. Nobody gets the way that I live or why I do the thing. If you had my life, you'd get loaded too. That's how I'm feeling. But then I sit on that bunk, and I'm like, man, you're making some really bad decisions. You need to get your life together. And I wish this tattoo would have sobered me up, but it did not. I continued running and doing the things that I do. That's it. I can tell you that's it. I got loaded. I hurt a bunch of people. I robbed a bunch of people, and that's it, man. And I just couldn't pull it off. But there'd be moments like that moment where I'm like, all right, man. It's time to get your life together, right? You're sitting in jail. You don't know why you're here. You got this dumbass tattoo on your face. Like, do something better with your life. And I'd wholeheartedly mean it. And I'd wholeheartedly want to do better. And I'd wholeheartedly not want to pick this stuff back up again. And I'd mean it with everything in my being. And I'd get released from jail, or I'd get released from usually just jail. I've never gone to treatment. I've never done it. I never got introduced to this process that we have here. I would just go to jail. I'd do my sentence, and I'd get out, and I would, on my own self-will, on my own self-reliance, I'd tell myself it's going to be different, and here's how. But like I explained to you guys before, I'd get out and I'd have a couple days, maybe a couple weeks. I might get a month sober, but I'm ready to burst. I'm ready to jump out of my skin, and I get loaded again. And I don't know about powerlessness. I don't know about a phenomenon of craving. I don't know about this allergy that we talk about. I just know that I'm uncomfortable, and I need to feel better. And the way for me to do that is to put a couple things in my system. 22 years old, I meet this girl. And our whole entire relationship was based off getting loaded, right? I met her. I think I was selling her some stuff, and that's how we met. That's all we did. We got loaded together. I'm with her for a couple months, man, and she gets pregnant. For the first time in my life up to this point, I got a purpose now. I got something to live for. I got this kid on the way. I got to do better. I got to whatever, man. This is it. This is the way that I'm going to get sober, stay sober, and get my life together. We're living in a trap house. That's what I'm good for. I'm good for meeting a girl and bringing her to the trap and then using her car and all this stuff. That's all I'm good for. And I meet this girl. She's living at the trap house that I'm staying at. And her mom's like, look, you guys are about to have this kid. Come live with me. You guys are more than welcome to come live in my house. And this is a level of living that I'm not accustomed to. I've never been in a house this nice in my life. She brings me, this just delinquent, into her home to live in her space or whatever. And she set some ground rules, man. If you're gonna live here, you gotta stay sober. No drugs, no drinking. You gotta stay sober, get a job, do all these things. And I'm more than willing to do it, and I mean it, and I tell myself I'm gonna do it, and I really wholeheartedly mean it. You could hook me to a lie detector test, and I would pass that thing. And the problem with me is I get there a couple days, and she's telling me I gotta wash the dishes, or I gotta take the trash out, or I gotta do this, And that mind that I was telling you guys, it starts eating at me again. And I'm a couple days removed from a drug. I'm a couple days removed from anything that's making me feel better. And I'm getting wound up so tight again, and my head's just screaming, and I'm restless, and I'm irritable, and I'm discontent, and I'm here, but I want to be there, and I'm mad at you, and I'm just all over the place that I'm ready to burst. And I just want to take the edge off. That's all I want to do. You give me half a Xanax, and I'll be okay, right? That's what I'm thinking in my head, and I mean it. You give me a half a Xanax, maybe a full one, whatever, and I'll be okay. And I'm just wanting to take the edge off. And I don't understand at that time this allergy that we talk about in this book, but I can see it throughout my track record and through the way that I get loaded that once I start, I cannot stop. It's physically impossible for me to put these things down. And I eat that Xanax. And I don't know what else I do, but I do a couple more things, and I go grab the dope that I like to do, and I wake up a couple days later from a blackout, and this lady's yelling at me, telling me to get the hell out of her house. And what happened with that one Xanax bar is I got blacked out like I usually do, and I robbed this lady of all her gold, and she kicks me out of her house, and she said, you can't live here, and she calls the cops. And I got this little girl on the way, but I go to jail again. I'm right back in jail again. And it's the same cycle, man. The cycle that I'm living, just in and out, in and out. Try to get to it's the way it looks like for me is my life sucks so bad when I'm getting loaded that I got to get sober. And then when I'm sober, my life sucks so bad when I'm sober that I got to get loaded. And it's the same thing over and over. When I'm in jail this time, I do maybe a year or something, and this baby that's on the way, it's getting close for her to be born, and whatever. Hey, Tommy, hey, buddy, hey, Jeremy. And she's about to be born, and I'm calling this lady's letting my child's mother's letting me call her every day, and one day she doesn't answer the phone. And me being selfish and self-centered the way I am, I get pissed off because she doesn't answer the phone. And I just want to yell at her and scream like, why are you not answering the phone for me? And long story short, man, is I call the next day, and her grandmother, my daughter's grandmother, answers the phone. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm an overthinker. She's like, everything's okay, but we're in the hospital, and she hangs up. And I'm like, oh. I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but I overthink everything, and I'm freaking the hell out. But what happens, my daughter was born on the bathroom floor. She wanted to have an at-home water birth. I was against it, but I was in jail. I didn't really have a say-so in the matter. And she was born unresponsive on the bathroom floor. The umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck. She spent 9 weeks in the NICU, and I missed all of it, man. Due to my selfish actions, I was in jail. I couldn't do anything. I was just sitting there. But when that moment happened, and I was getting close to coming home at that point, I really meant business, man. I got this kid. She's in the NICU. She's healthy, though. She's alive. I got a purpose I need to live for. This is going to be it. And I really meant business. I really did. And the first time I held my daughter, Hernando County Jail, I got out and I held this little girl in the jail parking lot. And I literally got the world in the palm of my hands. And I'm just looking at her, and I'm like, it's going to be different this time. It's going to be different. I got something to live for. I'm going to do this deal. And I'm out for 12 days. And what I find out on these 12 days is while I was incarcerated, she got a new boyfriend. My child's mother got a new boyfriend. And I was not too happy about her, and I would get all burned up, and I'm pissed off, and I'm resentful, and I'm just running rampant, and I need to take something to take the edge off. Same cycle over and over, and I take one, take a couple more, I end up on a blackout. I'm out for 12 days. I get into an altercation with this guy. I find myself back in jail all over again. 12 days after I just held the world in the palm of my hands, I took one thing and took another, went on a run that I didn't intend to go on, and I find myself back in the same situation that I said I wouldn't be in anymore. That time, that's it, man. I go back to prison. I get released. I do a year and some change. I get released, and when I get out of jail, my daughter's like a year and a half old. Her mom leaves state for a period of time, and I have this daughter all to myself, and I'm raising this kid, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but there's a phrase we use around here, I'm just white-knuckling this thing, man, and I hold it together for a couple months, and I have this girl, man, and I get a job, and I get the car, and I get an apartment, and for the first time in my life, I'm starting to build some stuff up. Things are starting to look up, and whatever, man, and for a guy like me, I always thought that if I just had the job and the car and the girl and the house, and if I had all these little materialistic things, that I would be okay. But when I come to find out is I could have all that stuff and I'm still discontent. I could have all that and I could still want more. I could have all that and I could still want to be somewhere else. And what it looks like is I'm just never happy with what I have. I'm just never happy with what I got. I'm never happy with the people that I have around me. I want something different. And I'm just restless and irritable and discontent. And if you sober me up, I'm worse than when I'm loaded. And that's true to my experience. If I'm sober, I'm just a ticking time bomb. And inevitably, like I always thought I had a choice that I was picking this stuff back up. I always thought I had a choice that I was getting loaded the way I wanted to, and I thought I could manage it and I thought I could control it, but that's just not the case for a guy like me. And same thing, I go on another run. I have this girl for a few years. She's a few years old up until this point. Her mom comes back in the picture. I'm not making enough money to support the drugs that I'm doing. I'm not making enough money to pay the rent or the bills, so I start selling narcotics. I start doing the things that I shouldn't be doing. I start taking this little girl places that she should not be. I'm going on drug runs. I'm keeping her up all hours of the night. I'm just taking her to very unsafe places. And my drug-addicted life seems the only normal one, right? This is just normal to me. This is the way that I'm living, and it just seems normal. I don't think anything about it in the moment. I don't see anything wrong with it. Her mom comes back in the picture and start seeing her more, and I have less responsibility, and I can get loaded the way that I like to get loaded. And I had this old iPhone, and I gave it to my daughter to take to her mom's house so she could play on it or whatever. And on that iPhone was a bunch of pictures, a bunch of crack, a bunch of meth, a bunch of guns, And her mom calls me and she's like, "What's all this? I'm taking this to the courts." And I was like, "Well, it's not me. You can do whatever you want." She's like, "You're an idiot. You have hand tattoos and your tattoos are all on these pictures." And she takes it to the court and I lose custody of my daughter. And again, that should be enough for a guy like me to get sober. The kid that I love more than anything in this world, I can't see her anymore. I lose custody of her. I can't talk to her. I can't do anything. They tell me I need to get a hair follicle test. I need to take some substance abuse classes. I need to do these little fucking things, man. And I can't sober up long enough to pull it off. I can't do it. I cannot pull it off. I don't see my daughter for another 2 years. And I go on a hellacious run. I go on another crazy run. I'm doing all these things that I said I'd never do. Same thing, man. Lying, cheating, stealing, burning every bridge. I'm doing all these things, just hurting everybody around me, and I'm only thinking about me. And I don't see it at the time, but God intervenes in a little bit. But I get pulled over one day, crash a bunch of cars. I do all this stuff that we do when we're getting loaded. I get pulled over one day, and I got this bubble. I can talk about it here. I got this bubble that's sitting right here beside me. I got a lockbox right here with a bunch of dope in there. And I got this bubble, and this cop's walking up to my car window. And I'm like, all right, if I toss this on the concrete and it shatters, he can't prove that it's mine. And I toss this bubble out the window, and it just bounces. And it lands right at this cop's foot. And he's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's not mine, dude." Just saw you throw it. And he's like, all right. I'm also under the impression that if you got a lockbox or a safe in your car, that the cops need a warrant to open that. And they're like, "Well, what's in the safe?" And I said, "You need a warrant to open that." He's like, "What's the code?" And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes to his car and he gets a crowbar and he pops it open and whatever. I got charged with fentanyl and meth and I got a bunch of dope charges, and then there was a stolen firearm, and I'm on my way back in jail all over again. Haven't seen my daughter in a period of time. I'm just a mess of a person. And the only person that's slightly hanging on to me even a little bit is this girl that I'm getting loaded with and my big brother. the one that I burned too many times to count. And he's just hanging on for whatever reason. He just still cares. And I go to jail. I sit in there for a couple months, and I'm like, if you bond me out, I'll do everything. Anything you ask, I'll do whatever it takes. And I meant it. I really did. I meant business. And he puts up the money. She puts up a car for collateral, and I'm back. And I'm living at her house. And see, I don't think alcohol. I know that I got a problem with Xanax, methamphetamine, crack cocaine. I know I got a problem with all that stuff. If I can leave that stuff alone, I'll be okay. And I get out, and we go downtown Newport Richie, and we go to this restaurant, and she gets a beer, and I'll get a beer. It's not going to do anything. I'm just going to drink a couple beers. And I drink a couple beers, and I drink a couple more, and before you know it, I'm calling the guy, and I'm getting the dope that I like to get, and I'm on another blackout. I'm on a run that I just got out of jail, and I promised everybody that I'm not going to do it again. I promised my brother, the only person to care for me and bond me out. Promise I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to get my daughter back. I have a beer, which leads to another beer, which leads me on another run. And on this run, I got out of jail, I think it was in June. It might have been July. June or July. I sobered up in November. That period of time was the darkest time of my life. I got into a fight with her. She kicked me out. I'm living in a tent. I'm robbing from Publix to eat. I'm sleeping in bathrooms at parks. I'm walking around aimlessly, man. I have no purpose. I have no destination. I'm just a shell of a person, and I'm just so empty, and I just don't know what to do with myself, and I'm just hurting, and I just want the pain to stop, and I can't put enough of this stuff in me to shut my brain off anymore. The stuff that drugs and alcohol used to do for me, it just wasn't working anymore. I could not feel better. I couldn't physically put enough of this stuff in me to get any relief. And that's a scary place for a guy like me, because the next thought that I want to do is I want to blow my brains out. I'm not the suicidal type of guy, but at that point in time, I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't know how to live anymore. I didn't know what to do. I was so deep in a pit, I didn't think there was any way I was going to pull myself out of it. I'm on bond for those charges. I haven't seen my daughter in forever. I just burned the bridge with the last person that wanted anything to do with me. And I remember I'm in that tent one night, and it was raining all day, and it was nighttime now, and I'm like hot, and I'm cold, and I'm miserable, and I just don't want to be here anymore, right? I don't want to live anymore, and I don't know what to do, and I'm out of gas. All the ideas that I usually have, they're just not there anymore. I don't have a game plan. I don't know what to do next. And God met me right where I was at that night, and I prayed to something that I didn't believe in. If you got anything for me, let me die here tonight, or let something change. And the next day I get a phone call, and it's from a detective. And he wants to talk about that stolen firearm that I had. And I immediately hung up. Like, I don't want to talk to you, dude. And he called back. He's like, look, man, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm homeless. I'm in this part of town. He's like, well, there's a Dunkin' Donuts right there. Meet me at that Dunkin' Donuts. The night before, I had just prayed to something that I didn't believe in. If you got something for me, let me die, or let something change. And I go and I meet this detective. And I don't know what made me do this, but I asked him, I said, can you help me with housing? Is there any way you can get me out of these woods and get me in somewhere? He said, you meet me here the same time tomorrow, and I'll see what I can do. And I met him here the same time. Met him at that same place the same time the next day. And he had pamphlets in his hand. And he put them in the table in front of me, and he's like, you could pick one of these, but there's rules you got to follow. There's things that you got to do, and I was completely willing to do whatever it was. So get me out of these woods. I'm just suicidal. Like, anything is better than where I am. And it was for a halfway house that's here in the area. And I get to this halfway house, and for the last 6 months, I'm homeless, eating out of tuna cans and whatever I can do. And I get to this halfway house, and it's like my second night there, and I got these crackers on the nightstand, and this house manager's like, you can't have food in your room. I was so pissed off, dude. I was ready to leave. And I was just homeless for a period of time, but this guy just hated discontent. Nothing can be good enough. But what happened in that halfway house was this group of guys would bring meetings in every single Monday. They would bring meetings in every single Monday. And they would just do kind of what I'm doing now, man. They would just tell me their experience and the way they got loaded and the way they were in and out of jail. They lost custody of their kids. When they didn't want to stop, even when they wanted to stop, they just couldn't pull it off. And I could relate. For the first time in my life, I related to somebody. And I could understand what they were saying because they had lived the same way. I understood. For the first time in my life, I'm not misunderstood. These people get the way that I'm living. And they told me also that they have a solution. And after one of those meetings one night, this guy comes up to me. A guy that I would, there's a line in our book that says usually we would not mix. This guy plays like Dungeons and Dragons, right? And plays video games, and I don't do any of that at all. And he said, do you got a sponsor? And I was like, no. He's like, well, you do now. And he wrapped me up just like that. And I think the most important thing that I asked that guy, I said, what do we do? Right? Like, what do we do next? And we go through the steps. And this first step idea that I'm powerless over drugs, I have to fully concede to that. As sober as I sit here today, without a miracle in my life, I'm going to get loaded again, right? It's not what happens when I get loaded. Yes, that allergy takes off. Once I start, I cannot stop. It's the reason that I pick up every single time when I tell myself I'm not going to. No matter how good life is, no matter how bad life gets, no matter what's going on in my life at any given time, I, on my own doing, cannot prevent myself from picking up a drug. I do it every single time, and I got a track record that proves it. I got a mind that leads me back to a drug every single time, even when I don't want to do it. And I'm convinced of that. And I dive into the fact that I am screwed. I am powerless over this deal, and no matter what, I'm going to get loaded again. And I come to believe because I just see something's working in these guys around me, right? There's something going on with these guys. And if I just do what they do, maybe it could work for me too. And I get involved with this home group, and I start doing things that I don't want to do, right? I start shaking hands. I start calling people. There's a speaker that talks about it. When I was getting loaded, I did a lot of things that I didn't want to do with a lot of people that I didn't want to do them with. And when I got involved with this deal, I did a lot of things that I didn't want to do with a lot of people that I didn't want to do them with. And I don't see it at the time, but it's building me closer to this power, and it's helping me build a network of people. And I get involved with this home group, and I could start getting busy in this work. And we do a retreat at our home group every year. And I was a month sober, maybe a month and a half sober. And it was a traditions retreat, and I had no idea what was going on. I felt like I didn't fit in there anymore because there was whatever. It was an experience that I hope you guys all get to experience one time. But it was a traditions retreat. And what happened at this, it was a shit show, if I'm just being honest. It was a mess, only because I made it a mess because I didn't know what the hell was going on. But at the end of that retreat, we closed this thing off, and there was like 50 guys standing in a circle. And the guy that closed out the meeting, we're all 50 guys standing in a circle holding hands. And he said, I want you to close your eyes and envision something. And I did, and I closed my eyes, and you could do it here too if you want to. And I closed my eyes, and he said, I want you to think about the last run you were on. How alone you were, how afraid you were, how you just couldn't pull yourself out of it. How the heartaches of your family around you, the things that you want most in life but you can't pull it off, and just how alone and fearful you were in that moment, and just how hopeless you were. And I remember my last 30 days, still to this day, I remember my last run completely. And I was out of gas, and I was so hopeless, and I just did not know what to do. And he said, we're still all holding hands, and he says, open your eyes and look around you. And I look around, and there's 50 guys holding hands together. And he said, look around, and every single one in this circle has been there. Every single one in this person knows how you feel and experienced what you experience, and has found a solution. And if not yet, they're working on finding a solution to get out of that. And it did something for me, right? It made me feel like I fit in. It made me feel like I belonged. And I got lit up for Alcoholics Anonymous. I know this is DAA. I got sober and alcoholic. I got lit up for it, man, and I dove right into this deal. And I did a 4th step, and I did a 5th step. And for the first time in my life, I told somebody everything about me. I got it all on the table. I had secrets that I was taking to the grave with me, something that I was never telling anybody. This guy selflessly opened up this 5th step, telling me his darkest things, telling me things that if he wouldn't have said that, I don't know if I'd be sitting here today, right? I don't know if I would have got all this stuff out, but I got every little nook and cranny out with this guy. And I went back to my halfway house bedroom, and I sat for an hour, and I did that reflection and meditation. And it tells us in this book that we read from that we begin to have a spiritual experience, and I see that today. That's exactly what happened. I felt okay being me. I was sober and happy at the same time. It's something that I could never pull off. This 5th step experience that I had was the beginning of me feeling this connection with this power that I'm going to continue to seek and grow in understanding and effectiveness with. And it catapulted me to do the rest of the steps, man. And I got busy in Alcoholics Anonymous. I got busy with this work, and my life got really good. I ended up moving out of that halfway house. I got my own place. I got my own car. I helped start up a business, and everything was just going good, man. And I owe all of that to that process that I just went through, the 12 steps. And for a guy like me, if I quit seeking, if I quit doing the things that got me sober, I can get restless, irritable, and discontent. I can feel like I don't fit in. I can feel like I don't belong where I'm at. And if I stop moving my feet, I get in my head again and I get busy. Or if I don't get busy, I get in my head again and I just feel like I'm ready to burst again. And I have these little moments in my sobriety where things just catapult me right back onto the beam. And I was, I was less than a year sober at the time, and I go into this treatment center. And I start telling my story kind of like I'm telling you guys now. And this kid stands up, and he's pissed off at me, and he's yelling at me, and he's cursing at me, and he's like, "You robbed my dead homeboy." And he leaves the meeting, and I don't know what I said after that. I was just so stuck in myself, and I get out of that treatment center, and I start calling people, and I don't know what to do. And this kid that I had robbed had just recently passed away a couple of days prior to this event. And I'm talking to some people in my network, and they're like, "It's not your money, man. You got to pay it back. Like, reach out to a family member, find somebody that he's related to, and just see if you can get them their money." And I get a hold of his sister on Facebook. I'm like, "Look, I'm sorry for your loss. I owe your brother some money. Can I please send it to you?" And she sends me her Zelle. I send her the money. Not even 5 minutes later, she calls me on Facebook Messenger, and I answer it, and she's crying. And I don't do well with people crying. And I'm like, "Hey, what can I do for you?" And she said, "We don't know how we were going to cremate or pay for the cremation, but the money you just sent paid for it." And at that moment, I realized that this is so much bigger than me, right? These little steps, these little things that I need to do, these little actions that I take, it's not about me anymore. It's about the people about me. And those little moments catapult me back onto the beam every single time. And I start working with guys, and that's a whole experience. I had that spiritual experience around this fifth step. The awakening that I had started when I started sponsoring guys, and guys that came in just as hopeless as me and beat up as me and just didn't see a way out or what they could do. They get involved with this deal, and I get to see them get their kids back, and I get to see them light up and start helping other people. And that's the awakening, when I realized that I went through this whole process and I'm able to pass this thing off and see somebody else get an experience out of it. I don't know, man. It's I owe my life to this deal. I come into this deal. I come in here homeless. I come in here without just a lot of pain. I don't know what I can do or how I can get out of this. And I get introduced to a group of guys that have a solution, and they take me through this work. They tell me, "Shut up and get in the car." They help me do things that I don't want to do, and they get me involved in this program that completely changed the trajectory of my life. My life today is completely different when I first got here. That little girl that I lost custody of, I have her full time. I get to tuck her in at night. I get to take her to school. I get to fight with her on this excuse my language. I get to fight with her this 4th grade math homework. I get to be a dad. I get to be a brother. I get to be a son. I get to be a functioning member in society. I helped start a business a couple years ago, which is thriving, and all this little materialistic stuff that I have is cool. But I'm sober and happy at the same time. I'm able to navigate situations that are whatever, that I would have never stayed sober for. A month ago to this day, that big brother, the one that held on and did everything he could, he passed away, right? He died a month ago today. And due to this process and this program and these steps that I work and the guys around me that are showing me how to do this, I get to go up there and be a shoulder to lean on for my family. I get to bring something to the table. I get to be that brother. I get to be that son. I get to be that father. I get to be just a normal person in society. And I get to go home at night, and I get to lay down, and I get to fall right to sleep. I don't got that head that eats at me and eats at me and eats at me. But I'm also a guy that if I rest on my laurels, my past accomplishments, if I put this thing on the back burner, I'm a couple bad days, a couple bad decisions, a couple bad actions away from being right back to where I was when I first got here. I owe my life to this deal. I'm forever grateful for this deal. If you're new, in my experience, you can't relate with, there's going to be a lot of others that you might be able to. And if you can't, there's going to be another speaker that might share something that you can relate to. But if you're new and you don't know what the hell we're doing here, I didn't either. I had no clue what I was stepping into. I don't have the experience of coming in and out of programs. I don't have the experience of going in and out of treatment centers. I have the experience of being hopeless enough to listen to, deflate my ego and listen to somebody else. And with just a little deflation of ego and getting busy and working the 12 steps of this program, my life completely changed. And if you're new here and you don't know what you're doing or where you're going to go or what to do next, grab a hold of one of these guys and get busy with this work. Thank you for letting me share.